Hello, my name is Robin Michelle Wilson, and I am a published children's author, nonprofit consultant, certified teacher, and motivational speaker. Recently, I decided to create motivational messages to connect with you. Yes, you, parents, youth, and individuals who have a passion for serving and working with young people. Why? Because I have a passion for serving and working with young people. That is what I do. I teach young people, I speak to young people, I write for young people, and I work with individuals who, like me, have a passion for serving and working with young people. One of my visions for having these talks or having these conversations is the hope that you will continue the conversation in your homes, in your sphere of influence, because young people are not only our future, they're our now. They matter right now. And if we develop relationships with our young people, I mean, authentic, meaningful relationships with our young people now, we can help them grow and we can cultivate all of the assets that they have, meaning their skills, their talents, their gifts, their authentic self, so that they can eventually develop into the person that they were always intended to be. And I'm going to share some tips today with you on how you can do that. So if you continue to listen, I will share with you tips for cultivating young people's talents, skills, and gifts. The first tip that I would offer to you is, again, going back to authentic relationships. I think that it's really important to understand that in order to even be able to pour into a young person's life, they first have to trust you. Let's be honest, we're the same way, even as adults. We tend to connect with people who we trust and who we know has our best interests at heart. In fact, that's one reason why I love working with young people. They're real, and they will call you out if they feel that you're not being real with them. They know because they're intuitive, and they're more in tune, in my opinion, with people around them than some adults are. In fact, when I go into spaces where there are young people, I'm often taking my cues from them. I'll never forget when I first started my teaching career, my classroom teaching career. I had applied to several schools in the local area, and I received a call back from one of the schools on my list. I had my interview and it went well, and I was extended the job offer. Now, before the school year actually started, I requested permission to come into the school building to look at the space because I was trying to get my materials together. I was trying to prepare myself for decorating my classroom and getting it structured for learning for the fall. So I wanted to see what was already in the space and what I had to work with and possibly what I needed. And the principal gave me permission to come to the school. So once I arrived and I came through the doorway of the gymnasium, there was a school program, a summer program that was taking place there. And I was patiently waiting my turn in line to speak to the woman who was sitting at this desk when you walked through the door. So while I'm waiting for my turn to speak to her, I'm taking in everything that's going on around me. And as I looked out into the gymnasium, I saw rows of students sitting at lunch tables. And what struck me was that they were not laughing, and some of them did not have smiles on their face. In fact, many of them were not doing much talking at all. They were just kind of sitting there, and they didn't look like they were having a great time. And once the woman actually spoke to me and greeted me, and it was my turn, she greeted me in a harsh tone. And it wasn't what she said, it was how she said it. And so her harsh tone only reinforced this impression that I had already been getting from the young people in the space, that this just did not seem like a friendly and welcoming environment to be in. And so even though she guided me to the office to meet with the principal, I could not help but feel uneasy in the space. And actually, as we continued to walk through the hallways, I noticed that sitting in the library, there were children who were working quietly, and the adult, or the designated adult who was in the space, was leaned back in their chair, and they appeared to be asleep. And throughout my experience in this particular school building, I got an overwhelming sense that the young people in the space were just simply not engaged. And they did not appear to be happy to be in the space. And if I were to be honest with you, after my experience, I wasn't happy to be in the space. So you can probably guess the outcome and what decision I made. I did not decide to teach at that school, and I still believe that I made the right choice. But my purpose and point in sharing that story with you is that even before I talked to an adult in the space, I already could sense that there was something not quite right about being in that space, at least for me, because I could sense it from the young people around me in their body language and the facial expressions that they had. They were not engaged. And even though I never had a chance to talk with them individually, I could sense from them that it was not a friendly environment to be in. And so young people are very in tune with their environment and people in their environment and what is going on around them. And if you are to reach and empower young people, you have to cultivate and develop relationships with them, meaningful and authentic relationships. So how do you do that? Well, the first thing is you have to listen to them. As adults, we love it when people listen to us. Guess what? So do young people. While it is important to have respect in any relationship, it's key for us to listen to young people if we really want to have an audience with them where they're willing to listen to us. So often, as I've talked to some individuals, they have complained about young people not wanting to listen, or young people being quote unquote hard-headed, right? But sometimes when we listen to young people and when we watch and observe what is going on with them, it uniquely equips us to be able to speak more effectively into their lives in a way that is meaningful to them. I believe in meeting people where they are. And in order to meet people where they are, you first have to find out what's going on with them. And in order for people to open up, especially young people, they have to first trust you, and they have to know that you have their best interests at heart. So my first advice would be to make yourself available to listen to young people and watch to see what things they gravitate towards. What are they good at? I'll never forget being a young person and being artistically inclined. I'm still very creative, but my mother and family members always were placing me in creative arts programs because they knew that I was gifted with singing, dancing, and other art forms. And one year I actually remember receiving a scholarship that my choir teacher had nominated me for to attend the Blue Lakes Fine Arts Camp in Muskegon, Michigan. And it was a wonderful experience. But I was always in some type of creative program because my parents and my grandparents saw that I excelled in the arts. And so whether it's the arts, the sciences, or some other area, when you develop a relationship with a young person, you begin to see what they are good at, and you can encourage them from that standpoint of understanding who they are, or at least where they are in that moment. Sometimes I think that we look at young people and we just want them to have it all together. But let's be honest, none of us really have it all together. We develop over time, and it's a process. I know that even as a leader in a more advanced stage in my life, I'm still developing. And so when we look at our youth, we have to see them on an individual basis. I'll never forget when I worked for a nonprofit foundation. I was in an administrative role, and they needed a youth advisor for the youth advisory committee that the foundation had. No other adult really wanted to have this role because they were very frustrated in trying to communicate with the young people who made up this youth grant body. So I was asked to step in as the advisor, and I did. And what I found was that they did not respond to me well right away because they were still trying to fill me out. They had a certain experience with the other adults who had been called upon to work with them. These other adults, I came to find out, would come in and they would want to present these young people with ideas, and then they expected them to carry out these ideas that they brought to them. However, these young people were leaders and they had their own ideas that they wanted to implement. They simply needed structure, and they needed someone who could come in to facilitate opportunities for them to be able to carry out these plans. And so it took time, but I was able to finally develop relationships with each one of them. And as I got to know them on an individual basis and I saw them on an individual level, then I was able to speak to them more directly. And one thing that I did that was a turning point was that I made out cards to each one of them. I told them exactly what I saw in them, and I wrote that in a card, and I placed it where I knew that they sat. Each of them had their own individual seat where they sat for each of our meetings. And then I made sure that I brought with me a visioning board to share with them as I talked to them that day. And I let them know in advance that I would be doing this. And my whole presentation to them was on having a growth mindset and being able to change and use your talents, your gifts, and skills to change. And so I wasn't telling them that I was going to lead the change. What I was doing was calling them to lead the change and calling them to use their individual talents, skills, and gifts to do it. And the reason that I focused on the growth mindset was because they were so used to doing things a certain way. They had many great ideas, but they, like a lot of adults, had their comfort zone. They were comfortable with having the youth grant body be made up of their friends and family members. So it didn't really leave much space for them to do recruitment, or at least when they did recruitment, they were not reaching beyond their comfort zone, the people who they knew. And so I knew that they needed to reach beyond just the people who they knew to reach the broader community. And I wanted them to do that work, and I wanted them to use their many gifts and talents to do it. But I knew that I needed to focus them on them doing the work and using their gifts. And guess what? It worked. It worked beautifully, because the whole way that they responded to me, it shifted. I think it shifted because they recognized that I wasn't coming in. I wasn't the adult that was coming in and trying to take over their youth grant body. I was there to facilitate leadership opportunities, but I was not there to lead for them. I wanted them to lead, and I wanted them to use their leadership gifts, talents, and skills. And I simply presented them with the tools that they needed in order to do it. And so they started to respond to me differently, and they started to work more effectively amongst themselves, because they understood, oh, this is what I bring to this whole picture of moving the youth grant body forward and participating in grant making, which is what they were purposed to do in that setting. And I'm proud to say that many of those young people have gone on to do some amazing things, but it all started with me developing a relationship with them individually, and then calling that out, what I saw in them, for them to be able to then focus their attention on what needed to be done and how they could use those individual skills and gifts to do it. It sounds so simple, but let me tell you, it was challenging, because they were dealing with a history. They had a history just like we have a history in past experiences. And in their past experience, they were used to adults coming in and trying to take over. And let's be honest, none of us likes that. That's not just young people. That's many adults too. We don't like that. And so let's not do that to you. When it comes to them developing their talents and gifts, not only do we need to have a relationship with them through listening and watching to understand what it is that they bring to the table, what are their assets, and we all have them. But it's also speaking and calling those things out that we see in them, so that they know that we see them, but also they sometimes can begin to see themselves in a different way too. I know that when I was a young person, I did not always see my possibilities, the range of possibilities there were for me. But I'm so thankful that I had people in my life who did see the range of possibilities for me. And that helped me to get to the place where I am today. At least in my younger years, it helped me to have a different vision for myself. And so if we want young people to have a vision for their future, we have to have a vision for them that's rooted in who they are and who they're becoming. Sometimes young people are not always living up to their potential. And I think it's really important to not focus in on the things that they're not doing right, and try to encourage them from the standpoint of, this is what you could be doing. Okay. This is what I see in you, and keep calling it out until they start walking in that, versus you're not doing this or you're not doing that, and you could be doing this. You know, sometimes we focus on the negative things that are not going right, instead of focusing on the things that could really help them get to where they need to be, and also to do the things that they're capable of doing. The other point that I want to leave you with is exposure and exploring their opportunities or options. So you have to give, once young people actually know what they're great at, and a lot of young people already do, but some just need to be told, But once they know what they're great at, then you want to give them opportunities to use those gifts and to hone in on their skills. We can all have gifts and skills and things that we're excellent at, but if we don't take time to develop those skills, gifts, and talents, then we become stagnant. And the same is true with young people. There's a lot of incredibly talented, gifted, and skilled young people, but just like with any gift or talent, it's so important to have opportunities to develop those skills and those talents. So that could be through academic institutions, depending on the skill that is at hand or the talent that you're trying to develop. That could be through scholarship opportunities that exist with creative arts camps, you name it. Making sure that young people have opportunities to cultivate and develop their own gifts is so critical, because they have to be able to take ownership of their own talents, gifts, and skills. And they also have to have opportunities to use them. So as a person, as an adult who works with young people and mentors young people, whenever I see different opportunities that are in alignment with something that I know that young person is excellent at or could really benefit from, I'm sending them an email. I'm calling up their parent and letting their parent know, oh, I saw this opportunity. I just wanted to share it with you. I think that this is something that could really benefit him or her. Let me know if you need any letter of recommendation. We have to be willing as parents, as well as individuals who have influence in young people's lives, to take time to pass on opportunities to them, whether they're opportunities that we have access to or others within our network have access to, and be willing to share that with them and then encourage them and support them as they're moving through that process, whatever that process is, whether it's applying for a scholarship or applying for an opportunity elsewhere at an institution that could really help further their development in their area of gifting or their area of interest. And those are the two key points that I want to leave with you, because I think sometimes we forget as adults that we didn't get to the place that we are overnight. We have a process that we went through to develop into the individuals that we have become. And there are many individuals who have contributed to our success. If we were to be honest, there's many individuals who have contributed to our success. So for me, because I know that I have had many mentors throughout my life, and I still have mentors in addition to being a mentor. And I think that it doesn't matter where you are in your leadership journey, you can always have a mentor. In fact, I think you should. But I think that as you are moving through your leadership journey, you should always be mentoring someone else, whether that's a young person or someone who you work alongside who may not be as far along as you are. It's critical to mentor other people and to impart the knowledge and skills that you have to others so that you can leave your mark and make a difference in someone else's life. And at the end of the day, for me at least, that is what it's all about. It is about leaving your mark and making a difference in someone's life so that they in turn can not only be successful, but hopefully pay it forward as well, meaning they can then give some of what you've given to them back to someone else along the way. And so as you're considering the young person that you have an influence over, or young people who you have influence over, I encourage you to think about how you are developing your relationship with them. Are you being intentional about how you're developing relationships with young people? And then, are you listening? Are you watching to get clues for their unique gifts, talents, and skills? And then, are you speaking and calling out the things that you see in them? Even if they are not living up to their potential in that moment, are you calling those things out so that eventually they will start walking in what you've always seen in them? And then, are you helping them in the sense that you're providing them with opportunities or sharing opportunities with them to actually use their gifts and their talents in ways that are not only meaningful to them, but also meaningful to others? Because I guarantee you that if you are doing that, you are going to have a deep impact in their life. And not only in their life, it more than likely will have a ripple effect, and you'll have a deep impact in your community. So this has been my conversation piece for today, and my thoughts on empowering young people, specifically around cultivating young people's talents, skills, and gifts. And if there's another topic that you would like me to explore and to discuss for an upcoming leadership conversation around youth empowerment, please leave me a comment, and I definitely will consider it for a future conversation. But I just wanted to share this with you in hopes that you will continue the conversation in your homes, in your sphere of influence, and that this can help you to have a deeper impact in the life or lives of the young people that you serve. Thank you for your time.